let's talk about the newest palettes from Adept Cosmetics. They're coming out with a face palette and an eyeshadow palette, and I'm so excited to show you both of them. So we have the Unity palette and then the Duality face palette. They do have the same packaging, and it is such cool packaging. Just a little moment of appreciation. I love it. It looks like there's some sort of like dual chrome holographic material below the lace, and it's just really, really cool looking. First, let's take a look at the face palette. There's kind of like 3 highlighters at the top and then 3 matte blushes, and there is an ombre blush, very bright and colorful face palette. And then the Unity eyeshadow palette, we have the mattes on the bottom and then 2 rows of shimmers, which is usually how Adept does their layouts. There's some mauve tones with a pop of magenta, and the shimmers are predominantly more neutral leaning shimmers. And I was sent both of these products in PR from Adept Cosmetics, so thank you so much for sending it over to me. And I do have an affiliate code as well, we'll put up on the screen. However, make sure you sign up for their newsletter because they do send out better coupon codes usually with every launch. I already received a 20% off coupon to use on this collection in my email, and this makes this such an amazing deal because this palette is $52. So this has got to be one of the least expensive palettes Adept has ever come out with. And then the face palette is $34, and you can get a bundle of both of them for $72. So I think this is an amazing price range, and I'm so happy to see a under $60 eyeshadow palette from Adept Cosmetics. And there's definitely a reason for that. There's not really a lot of multi-chromes in here. I believe the only shade in here that is multi-chrome is this one right here. And also, I'm happy to announce there are no squishy eyeshadows in this palette. There's nothing very emollient, nothing too squishy or anything like that. So very happy to see. Definitely more in line with the Flying Fiddles palette, which I love the shimmers in that palette so much. So there's 2 different shimmer finishes. There's a more PC sparkly but still opaque kind of shimmer. And then there's 2 smoother shimmers that are not necessarily sparkly, but they're still metallic, just not like ultra liquid metal metallic, and that is Rose Orchid and Egalitarian Emerald. You don't want to know how many takes it took me to try to pronounce that, and I'm probably still mispronouncing it. These palettes are launching September 6th at 11 Eastern time. So I'm going to be showing you detailed swatches of each of the shimmers, some comparison swatches as well, though it was really hard to find something too similar because there is definitely mostly neutrals, and I don't have that many neutrals, especially neutrals that have a bit of dimension to them but they're more opaque. And I'm going to be showing you a couple of cheek swatches of some of the shades in the blush palette, and then I'll create 3 looks with the eyeshadow palette. So let's get right into it. Unison Utopia is a brown shimmer shadow, pink flecks throughout it, and definitely has a rosier tone kind of straight on, and it's very smooth and very sparkly. Tranquility is a taupe brown based shimmer shadow with silver, blue, and some pink flecks throughout it. Very smooth and very sparkly and quite opaque, just like the previous shade. Rose Orchid has a reddish brown base with a violet shine straight on and a little bit of a shift to more of a magenta. This one is smoother than the previous shade, so it's a little bit less sparkly as well. Serene Spirit is a opaque peachy pink with silver flecks throughout it. Very dimensional shade, so sparkly but very smooth. Balanced Beauty is probably the sheerest shade out of this entire palette, but I think you can get it to be a little bit more opaque if you use a tacky primer. This one is gold and peach with just a hint of chartreuse. A Galarian Emerald, a bronze with a little bit of an olive tone to it. It's very smooth, you can see, not necessarily sparkly. In texture, it's more similar to Rose Orchid. Very metallic and very opaque. Petals is a beautiful, cool toned pink with blue flecks throughout it. I also see a little bit of a flash of silver kind of straight on. Very sparkly, but smooth and pretty opaque. The Peaceful Path is a very smooth, shifting shade. I believe this is the only multi-chrome in here. At the time I'm filming this, I don't know the details of how many multi-chromes are in this palette, but I do think this is the only one that has a distinct shift to yellow gold, and it's a little bit peachy but still gold straight on with some pink flecks throughout it. Serenade is a warm brown based duochrome, I would say. It does look a bit silvery straight on, but in the pan it looks a little bit bluish, and this one is very smooth but also very sparkly. The last shade, Balanced Bond, warm tone brown shimmer with a little bit of a cooler flash straight on, like almost silvery. Definitely see some silver flecks throughout it. Up Orange Pearl on a blending brush. This one is from What's Up Beauty R104. I like to use larger blending brushes for highlighters. And this is just a really, really bright tangerine shade. And if you just build it up a little bit more, it's so pretty. And it's very, very silky smooth. No stray sparkles or anything like that. Picked up Duality 1 on the Refer AA01 brush. This is the collab brush with Alex and Ensley. And I just went in like right in the center. And I'm just gonna slowly start to build it up. Always easier to go in and build up than to have to try to take away. And this is like a perfect little blush brush. I've been really enjoying this one. And I love me an orange blush. So this is just everything. And you can, of course, kind of try to dip in on each side if you want a little bit more of one. So I actually dipped into the darker side a little bit. And I'm going to put that up here. So it's going to be a little bit of a sunset blush kind of moment. And here's what that looks like. Picked up Sometimes Violet. Ooh, that is so pretty. Just gonna bring it up here. That is super, super smooth. Taking Moss, and I'm gonna put that on the inner half of my crease. And the mattes didn't swatch the greatest, but that's not really telling on how they will actually perform with a brush. And this is definitely way more opaque, just applying with the Refer 13. Kind of my go-to. And I'm not going to take it all the way down here. I'm going to kind of keep it maybe maximum of 2/3. Taking a Balanced Brown, and it's going to go on the outer corner to deepen up. And this is the deepest shade in the palette. I'm going to bring it a little bit underneath my lower lash line as well. And I'm going to wipe off my brush and just further blend this out with nothing else on my brush. I'm gonna go back in with just a little bit more right in here. Just build it back up just a little bit. Picked up Rose Orchid, and I just lightly misted my brush with some water. And it's going to go right out here. Getting a little bit of fallout, kind of on an angle. Same brush, picked up Balanced Beauty, and I think I forgot to mention a Refer 21 brush. And that's just going to go in the rest. This is definitely more of a PC kind of shade, so I would advise to using a glitter primer with this one, or some sort of tacky primer that dries down. And I'm just gonna put that one on the inner lid up into, and then taking Serene Spirit, and I'm just gonna use this to kind of blend in between the two shades. Definitely had a bit of fallout with those shimmer shades. And here's the first finished look. Picked up Mauve's Mist, and I'm just gonna put that into the crease. Oh yeah, these definitely perform a lot better. Which is the thing with swatches, is they can be misleading, and I'm just really kind of blowing it out. I'm just gonna add a little bit more. And I mean, look at that, that blended so nicely. That blend is, look at that blend though. For this look, I'm going to go in with the Fanny Pixie Epoxy. I do want to see the shimmers on a tacky primer. And I always like to make sure to spread it. Picked up Serenade, and I'm gonna pop that outer half of the lid. Ooh, that is such a beautiful shade. It's so interesting how it transformed with these tones on the lid. And then on the inner portion, I think I'm gonna take Tranquility. No, I actually really want to go in with Unison Utopia. Let me do that. It's a little bit darker than I would wanted, and I'm just gonna pop that in here. I'm using this new brush I got from Ulta. It's their brand and it's called the Max Impact 170, and it's actually really good for applying shimmer shadows. So I've been like I've been trying to test it out. And then on the inner corner, I'm gonna take my pinky and I'm just gonna go in with Serene Spirit. And here's the second finished look. For the last look, I'm going to be creating a wing shape with the shade Live a Little. It's going to be a pretty dramatic wing. And I'm going to be filling out this outer corner with it. And then I'm going to fade it into the pink, bright pink shimmer shade. So I want it to go up into my crease. And then just wing it out. And then bring it up a little bit more onto my lid and connect with my lower lash line. I think it could be a little bit longer based on my other wing on the other side. And then I'm just going to use my pinky and I'm picking up petals. Super, super sparkly. I'm just going to tap it on in the center. Oops. I did not mean to do that. My hand was just like, oh yeah, right there. Maybe I can just get it off. I'll have to fix that later, but I have a little bit of fallout. Picked up the Peaceful Path and I misted it with my brush. And it's gonna be like this swoop little highlight section right in the inner corner, going up into my crease and wrapping just a little bit over here above the wing. So maybe I can just kind of lay it down over that pink mistake. And then taking an angled brush and I misted it with the same shade, and it's gonna go on the inner corner and underneath my lower lash line. And here's the third finished look. I haven't used all the shades in the blush palette. I did only demo Orange Pearl, sometimes Violet, and Duality one. And from using this blush, it's definitely very, very pigmented. As for the highlighters, they are just a little bit more pigmented. That being said, you can layer them. I don't personally really gravitate towards these kinds of pinks on my cheeks, so I will be definitely more so reaching for these two shades. As for the Roses Are Red highlighter, this one definitely will not work for my skin tones, but I can use it on the lid. It's really, really beautiful and very, very smooth. When I found out that there was a face palette, I was really, really, really hoping for some more cream products. I absolutely love their cream highlighter, like multi-chrome highlighters from that one palette that is escaping my mind right now. They were like iridescent. Personally, because that is just my preference, I just really love using cream products on my cheeks. So moving on to the eyeshadow palette, the mattes are a little bit harder pressed, so they don't swatch the best, but they performed completely fine. I had no issues whatsoever. They just take a little bit of going back and forth, dipping into the pen and building them up, which I do really like because it's always easier to build up than to have to take away. Overall, I think this is a great addition to the Adept Cosmetics lineup of products that they offer, specifically eyeshadow palettes and the different color stories. And I do like the assortment of shades in here. I'm definitely more going to gravitate towards these four, not so much this kind of shade, though I do really love how this look came out. As for the shimmers, this is the Adept shimmer formula that I absolutely love. They're piecey, they feel a little bit drier to the touch, and they just have such a punch of sparkle without being textured or flaky or anything like that. They're very, very smooth, but still very sparkly. And also I would say quite a few of these are very dimensional. And I'm glad that there's only one multi-chrome in here. Not only does it keep the cost of the palette down, but also you have so many other beautiful shimmers to choose from in this palette. So as I mentioned, there's two different finishes in the palette, and I think it's nice to see a little bit of variety. If I was to compare these PC like sparkly shades that are very smooth to any formula, I would definitely say the new formula from Unearthly Cosmetics. So if you have any of their newer palettes and you love that formula, you will definitely really, really enjoy this formula. Like I said, it's a little bit on the drier side, so I'm not concerned about any sort of creasing. So I'm really happy with this palette so far, but of course I have to try it out some more. So make sure you stay tuned for my monthly palette ranking. This one will be falling into September because I kind of got it on the cusp, and technically I'm not going to be posting the video with this until September 1st, and I definitely want to try it out some more before I do put it in a ranking. So let me know in the comments below which look was your favorite, and also do you plan on picking either of these palettes up? I would love to hear your thoughts. And that's everything for this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time.